First, there was Rachel Dolezal, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl from Montana, pretending to be a civil rights activist and pretending to be black.
Are you African American?
I don't understand.
Then there was Sean King, who to this day still thinks he's black when he is whiter than Irate Bear.
Don Lemon called you Rachel Dolezal 2.0.
Yeah.
There's some information that came out which had stated some, which had showed birth certificate and police records stating you as a white man. What do you have to say to the people who accuse you, attempt to discredit you and your work, and label you as a con man lying about your race for profit and publicity? And how do you, in your position, fight against that to continue the work that you're doing? Cool.
Well, it's a question that I've actually answered at great length, so I don't know if you've read what I've written and said and spoken about it. So you did the opposition research, but didn't actually read anything I said or done? Who sent you that?
This is just research I was doing this morning.
Say it again?
Research I was doing this morning.
For what purpose? I'm just curious. I'm not attacking.
No. When I found out you were coming, I just wanted to know things that people were saying against you, because obviously on a lot of issues on your side. I've read a lot about other things that you're doing. I wanted to hear about what your opponents had to say about you.
Do you believe that's true, that I'm Rachel Dolezal 2.0? Do you believe that?
I said.
No, I'm asking you. I'm saying we're having a conversation.
No. I wanna assume that you are who you say you are.
Who do I say that?
Then there was this catastrophe.
80%! I have to learn a lot, I know.
Well, she's certainly something. And now, we have this man. Pretty anticlimactic, I know. But this man is of interest today, and we'll certainly have a few laughs at his expense. You're all welcome. This man, for those who are interested, is Anthony Ikundeo Lennon. Now, he is a theatre director, who was featured in the news for receiving £400,000 worth of arts funding meant for people of colour. Now, while he classes himself as a born-again African, his parents are decidedly white and Irish. Many now could say, perhaps it's a few generations back. You're right, there are anomalies that do in fact occur, either because of racial mixing, or simply an anomaly that happens. An example would be albino children, or white parents that have a black child. No, it doesn't mean the mother had jungle fever all the time anyway. So in this instance, I can understand why he could be argued possibly not entirely white his parents are. However, Dolezal 4.0, ladies and gentlemen, it's taken on a whole new level of, special. Let's face it, you've got Dolezal herself, 1.0, who worked her way up to the top of a POC business thing, movement, group, yeah. Then you have Sean King, and I mention him even though he's not really anything past a Twitter personality. I know he's featured on the news on a few occasions, but let's face it, he could charitably be considered one of those albinos. Are they like the black equivalent to ginger people? And at least solar? Then you have the German Abomination, who I might actually call Abomination. With cans like that, she could in fact wreck the whole. Who believes she has a lot to learn about what it means to be black. And now we go to Dolezal 4.0, the new badge, the new breed, where you are a born-again African, going so far as to read an ebook and pluck your name out of it. Well, this is certainly quite the ingenious way of going about reinventing yourself to get ahead. Now, linked in the description below is something called Every Man. I'm going to read the synopsis for it because it's from the BBC, it's an hour long, I don't want to go through all of that. The synopsis reads, chilling out. Anthony Lennon was born in Kilburn, West London. His parents both come from Ireland and are both undisputably white. Indisputably, my apology. Yet, Anthony now earns his living as a black actor. If he got any of his jobs through affirmative action or racial quotas, he owes some people an apology. Perceived race is not the same as act race after all. Yet, because ever since he was a child, he has looked black. When his friends who are mostly black find out about his background, fierce debates invariably follow about whether Anthony really can call himself black. It's a short debate, no, and about what black skin means to those who are born black. Well, it depends on country, culture, and society. In the United Kingdom, if he called himself black near somebody who was from, say, the Windrush generation, he's getting beaten up. If he was in the hood in America and he said he was black, he'd probably have to join the Crips. and then he'd be shot for being a buster. Or is it a cracker? Chilling out reproduces just such a set of conversations. That's basically pretty exciting, I know. The really interesting part about this chilling out episode from Every Man is that Anthony Lennon himself features in it, and who could argue at best he looks mixed race, but as his lineage is traced back 2 generations as absolutely white, I find it very hard to believe that even a great-grandparent's genetics potentially being that of another race managed to retain that far or not appear in grandparents or parent. Then again, anomalies do in fact occur. For example, let's take the boxer Tony Bellew. He looks incredibly white, does he not? And yet one of his parents is black. He still can't say Nick. That's my word. No, my word's Bear's word.
Downs.
And Drunkle's word is That basically sums up every text message I've ever received from him at 5 in the morning. Now, as is quite appropriate when someone like this gets a lot of attention and starts receiving awards for being something they are not, and it does come down to the perceived and what is real, is Mr. Lennon taking away from colour who are normally earmarked such awards include the obvious taxpayer support, form of that rather large grant, the fact that he's worked on all black production, potentially taking work away from people who are actually black themselves, and the paid traineeship as a theatre practitioner of colour when he is, well, maybe a person of colour. It's subjective whether or not somebody who is born to at least 2 generations of absolute white power and alcoholism can call themselves a person of colour. A lot of the commentary from many articles that feature in the description below originate from the Sunday Times, so we're going to read some passages from that, where Mr. Lennon gives us a greater insight into his childhood, which would then explain his desire to want to become something that would make no sense at the same time. So, as he argued in the book, everybody on the planet is African. It's your choice as to whether you accept it. This contrasted with the account of his heritage he gave in 1990, when he stated, "My parents are white, and so are their parents, and so are their parents, and so are their parents." I hear there are some fantastic heritage checker things some creators use as a sponsor for their content. Maybe you should use one of those just to be absolutely sure. In the book Photo ID, the blue-eyed thespian describes how he was born Anthony David Lennon, Paddington, West London. I'm either Kilburn or Paddington, or are they the same place? London's London. In 1965 to white Irish parents. His high cheekbones and curly hair set off gossip that his mother had an affair, but when his brothers Vincent and David developed similar features, it became clear it was a family trait. That his mother slept around? Now this is the part that makes me question why he would want to be or identify as a born-again African in the first place. This did not protect the young Lennon from jibes in the street from people who saw him as mixed race. He says his school caretaker called him nigger and threatened to attack him with a dog. Or was it Naga? Did you complain a lot?
That's right, apologize.
Owing partly to the taunts, the boy with the caramel skin had discovered his blackness. He started to wear a Rastafarian hat. Unless I'm mistaken, those were quite popular at that time anyway. Hell, there was a kids show with a Rasta, or is that more current? Up until the age of about 13, 14, I hadn't really thought about it at all, simply because kids don't understand it, the larger or bigger picture that is. And certainly during the time you grew up, most kids just wanted to climb trees, which, considering how mixed race you might look to some, might make them want to call you a chimp. Not that I in any way condone such comments. Down below. In phonetics, race is what the onlooker sees. Lennon became what others saw, but that's a lie. You must be one of the best actors on the planet, next to Dolezal, of course, who's still deluding herself to be black. And I have to say, considering your upbringing, considering your background, do you really think it's wise to take on the persona of a race that you believe you're a part of? This does of course bring up the argument, is race skin? There are some societal elements. History, powerful. Academics make a distinction between racial passing when a person of one race or mixed heritage presents themselves as belonging to another racial group, and phoneticizing, a term coined by the Canadian writer Huite Compton to shift the focus to the viewer. Fantastic. But it does not in any way justify a white man taking people of colour. Now, rather unsurprising, there are a number of actors, actresses, and people generally that have professed how they believe this to be a form of cultural appropriation. And I'm going to let you in the comments decide on whether it is or not. To me, if we're going to start allocating things by race, then some people surely play the game as best they can, and if they're going to do so, they're going to do it by lying, cheating, and stealing. White people are starting. They won't be socially conditioned anymore. Oh, I'm done with it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Mr. Leonard, and let me know whether or not you mixed race or his own statement that there's 4 gens of whiteness in his family. So I hope everyone has a lovely Monday, and thank you all for listening.